Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. It's been a while, but I am back. It's the international break. I blame the international break because I hate these international breaks. I absolutely despise them. If it was me, I would sign a petition to get them out of our way. Because they're pointless. I mean, who watches the Nations League? Italy against Belgium tonight in Rome, actually. I'll probably be watching that, but it does not need 2 full weeks of stopping the rhythm of club football to get these stupid games done with. So, sorry for this little delay, but we're back. I want to have a chat. There isn't really a specific topic which I want to speak about today. There are a few transfer news and rumors that came out, of course, in the Roma world, and then a few things on Juric and a few debates, a little chat with you guys, answering some questions, thinking prematurely about our return on the pitch after this international break, which will see us play against Inter, against Dynamo Kiev, and against Fiorentina away. 3 games which, in my opinion, are going to mark Juric's future, and 3 games which, not in my opinion, 100% are going to mark our fate over the course of this season. So, I want to chill it. I want to chill it out. If anybody has any questions, any debatey, chatty questions, then do put them in the live chat. This is the time to go through them all and have a pleasant chat. But how is everybody doing? First of all, I hope everybody is doing well. Don't forget to hit the like. Feel free to join the community. Hit the like in this live stream, in this video if you're not watching live. Subscribe to the channel. Everybody's welcome, even if you're not a Roma fan. Also, can I just say, if anybody's watching from Florida, I know that we have a lot of viewers from Florida because, I see a lot of analytics when studying YouTube videos, and a lot of people watch from the USA in general. But Florida is a very, very, very big state with a big Roma community. And I know that a big part of Roma Theory, quite a lot of you guys are from Florida, which watches these videos week in and week out. So my prayers and much love to everybody in Florida. I've seen videos of the hurricane and it looks tremendously bad. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope your families are doing well and all of that. I just wanted to say that because, come on, Dalle Florida. That's what we'll say. Where do we start? I'd start with the transfer news that came out this morning, which basically have linked Beto, ex-Serie A player, used to play for Udinese, and did actually quite well at Udinese. And then he transferred to Everton last year in January, I believe. He scored a few goals, but other than that, he hasn't really adapted in the English culture of football, in the Premier League rhythms, and he's fallen down in hierarchies at Everton. I do watch some Premier League games once in a while, and I do sometimes get to watch Everton. And from what I remember, I don't remember Beto even actually getting subbed in. So he's a player which Everton don't really need anymore, have probably put out of their project, which is why the transfer links have come. And the big question here is Shomurodov. There is this hypothesis of selling Shomurodov in January to then get Beto to replace him to be a second striker. I've mentioned this already in a match reaction for sure. Not in a match reaction probably. I've mentioned this as an example about the lack of programming at this football club. I think a club which has a good sense of programming and a good sense of organization cannot start a season with Shomurodov as a second striker. Especially if you are a team which aims to be playing in the Champions League. I don't think we realize, and when I mean we realize, I mean the board that runs our football club, I don't think they realize how competitive the race for top 4 has become in this league. It's become competitive everywhere in the world to try and get in the highest positions of a league table, let alone in Italy, which has got, in my opinion, after the Premier League, the best and most competitive league out there. Sometimes I struggle to believe that that we think that having Shomurodov as a second striker or having Cilic and Saud as right backs and not getting anybody else can be enough to challenge for top four. And I think the one thing that you should do is compare your team and your squad depth with the other teams. Let's stick on the striker department. Let's stick on the strikers. We've got Dovbyk as a first striker, and then we've got Shomurodov as our second striker. Our second fullest striker is somebody who last season was a reject in a team which scraped relegation like Cagliari. You look at Juventus, they've got Vlahovic up top, and Juventus don't play with strikers, it's not the best example. But look at Lazio, they've got Castellanos, and then if he doesn't play, they've got Dia, who is and knows this league really well and isn't a scrap. You look at Milan, they play with, Pulisic is considered a striker even though he isn't a striker. They've got Tammy, if Tammy doesn't play, they've got Okafor. You look at Inter. Inter is the best example. They've got Lautaro and Thuram, and then when one doesn't play, Taremi gets in, a player which has been a goal scorer, top scorer of the Portuguese league in numerous occasions, in fact in every season, and played in a team which reached Champions League semi-finals and quarterfinals and European final stages year in and year out. So I think it's not enough. The team that we have is not enough. And this is not an attack against Shomurodov, because I would defend Shomurodov and say that he is probably, in the start of the season, one of the few players who was given its all best in the few chances that he had. He scored that goal against Empoli, played those 30 minutes against Empoli, gave his absolute soul in those 30 minutes. He got subbed in the Genoa game, he gave his soul. He is somebody who fights, and he fights to be in the position that he is in. But unfortunately, a team like Roma, as I mentioned, who wants to aim big, because I hope they want to aim big, because if you don't want to aim big, then why are we even bothered in kind of following? Yes, this is a passion, but we expect as fans that this board takes things seriously, that these players and the managers take things seriously and start aiming for big, start aiming for success. And in my own opinion, having a second striker like Shomurodov is not good enough, and it won't get you anywhere. So the striker dilemma is a dilemma that will have to be covered in January. The right back dilemma is a dilemma that has to be covered in January. And having said this, I also feel like in January we need to add another midfielder, because yes, the midfield is packed compared to previous seasons, but it can always be better. And I always follow this ideology of comparing our midfield with other midfielders. It doesn't stand out. A few other players does stand out, and we've been lucky that Pizzilli has had such an exponential growth, and hopefully he does continue like this. But the legs, we need legs, we need stamina. It cannot be possible that it's the 10th of October, the league started basically 2 months ago, and we already look like the league is about to end, and we completely looked knackered and exhausted. That's not good enough, and that isn't a good impression for a team that wants to aim big. So there are inevitably have to be a few changes in the January market. There have to be add-ons. There will have to be players that leave the club. Yes, but we have to cover up and back up those holes that in the summer transfer window we didn't have enough time and finances and resources to cover up. So, this is the first thing that I will say. And Beto could be an option. I wouldn't mind him. He knows the league. He's the perfect second type of striker that you need. You've got Dovbyk, who's playing really well. You need somebody second who knows the league, has this experience of playing in a bigger dimension, which again, Beto, yes, played in the Premier League, but other than that is stuck to this little club Udinese mentality. This jump into Roma is big. We've seen it many times. Roma is a trap for a lot of players. But he knows the league. He knows the defenses in the league. The Italian league is very tactical, it's very defensive, and it's very physical. And he scored quite a few goals with Udinese in this league a few months ago. So look, that's the thing which I'll say. Sticking on the January transfer window, I want to get this out of the way because it's really one of those things that right now I just cannot be bothered speaking about, but I will be critical and mysterious, may I add. And I am going to say that I have a feeling, and it's quite a big feeling, that Dybala could leave in January. I have a feeling that the Dybala dilemma that started in August, if not July, has not ended. And I still have this feeling that this board does not want to trigger Dybala's contract extension. And remember, Dybala's contract extension automatically gets triggered when he starts in 14 games this season. And if you don't want to trigger that that extension clause, then he will have to be sold in January. There's a chance. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna hide it because I am aware of this chance, and this is why in little games especially, I always tend to say we should not rely on Dybala to beat Venezia, or we don't need to sub Dybala in to beat Elfsborg, which unfortunately did not go this way. We need to start getting psychologically withdrawn from this Dybala dependency. And this is not me saying this because, I don't want Dybala anymore. It's because this team needs to get used to a future without Dybala. And this future without Dybala, in my opinion, is not far away. If it's not in January, it's in June. So, this team can't play without Dybala. I am worried by what will happen when Dybala leaves, because this team, what it proved to me in these past 2 years, 3 years in fact, is that whenever Dybala isn't on the pitch, these players don't have a clue of what the fuck to do. And it's a big worry. It's a big question mark that I have, which is why, at least in minor games, Dynamo Kiev in the Europa League, that's a game which never in a million years we should depend on Dybala to win the game. So you see what I mean? I think there's a chance that Dybala leaves in January. I hope to be wrong because, as I always say, and at least until June, we need a player like him. Of course, if he extends his contract, I don't know what happens. So that's. I'll close it on this. I'll close the January transfer window bracket on this note. Let me read a few comments, right? Because I did say that I was going to read a few. Hello, Jason. Jason is from Florida. He's alive. Thank God. Let us know how you're doing. How do you know English so well, living in Rome? I went to an English school, mate. My name is Sardar. Good times. Love the Florida and the mountains of Newsea, North Carolina, and Tennessee. In your opinion, why Pellegrini is so hated, I don't understand. He plays very well, in my opinion. October the 20th, I'm going to see Roma Inter. Enjoy it. The reason why I think Pellegrini is the victim of such hate is because I think there's this concept amongst Roma fans saying that they've been way too patient with him and that he hasn't converted this patience into actual grinding results. I get the frustration around Pellegrini. I don't get the hate around Pellegrini. Pellegrini is always and has always been a player that has guaranteed double-figure goals in his previous seasons. Now, again, this does not mean that Pellegrini is unchangeable in a sense that he always needs to start games and that he's on the top of this hierarchy, because that's wrong. The hate that Pellegrini receives is too much. But I also understand the frustration because I think Pellegrini can give way more than what he currently gives in football games. And if Pellegrini starts to give more than what he currently does in football games, then our life as Roma fans and the results that this team achieves would be saved. Because Pellegrini, when he wants to, can change these games. But Roma is like a hurricane. I don't want to give this analogy because there are probably going to be a few people whose life has been destroyed by a hurricane in these past couple of days. But consider me this example. Allow me to do this example because it makes sense. It's not offensive at all. I'm not trying to be offensive. That's what I'm saying. Rome is a hurricane. Rome, the Stadio Olimpico, the Roma environment is a hurricane in a sense that the moment you fuck something up, this hurricane starts twining around you. And the more this hurricane twines around you and twirls around you and spins around you, the more you go insane. And this is exactly what is happening with Pellegrini. Pellegrini plays a game, doesn't play well because he's booed, because he's insulted, because he's hated against. So the fact that he doesn't play well in that game further exacerbates this hurricane. And in the second game he plays, it's worse and worse and worse. Adding on to this, he's got the responsibility of being the captain after Totti and De Rossi. Look, and adding on to this, Pellegrini's always been hated because he is considered to be the guy who has sacked both De Rossi and Mourinho. I think if people still think that Pellegrini was the reason he sacked De Rossi, you're delusional because he said it publicly and it's not physically possible. Yes, I agree that with Mourinho he had a few tensions. That does not mean that Pellegrini was the reason Mourinho got sacked. Yeah, I think Pellegrini's gone through a lot in these past 12 months, and it's definitely not helping him that us fans aren't backing him and supporting him, if you see what I mean. Right, I want to kind of speak about Olaina. Yes, Nitsan. Olaina is another player that we've been linked with as a right-back option. The one thing that I want to say before ending this stream is speaking about this... It's so hot, man. Oh my God. Is speaking about this going back into action after this international break. Because I want to make this clear. 2 weeks before, in fact, almost 1 week before we're playing that game against Inter. I am being very clear when I say, and when we all want and say, that there needs to be a reaction in this post-international break. I have not been serious like this in a very long time. I have had enough of being embarrassed by every other fan bases. I am fed up of these shit results against these shit teams. And I am being very, very serious, and I mean it, because otherwise I will be mad and I will go insane. The second this international break ends, inside Trigoria, there needs to be a flushing of our minds, a flushing of our mindset, throw everything away, throw the past away, and we have to change this momentum. Because, my friends, I'm being very honest here. If we don't change this momentum, we're going to get around the 9th and 10th position this season in the league. And I am not even joking. If we do not change this route and change this pattern of results and this momentum of results, this season we are going to struggle to even get in the Europa Conference League. Okay? So I'm being very serious when I say that whenever this international break ends, there needs to be a step up in reaction and, most importantly, a step up in attitude. And I'm speaking about the board. I'm speaking about these players who in some of these games look absolute zombies. And I'm also speaking on the behalf of the manager, because yes, the manager is probably, Juric is the one who's less gullible and blamed for this because he's accepted this mess. But I do not tolerate my manager saying that he's liked the performance and accepts such a performance after having played the worst game I've ever seen in 19 years of my life against Elfsborg. So there needs to be a step up in attitude and a step up in mentality, because this fucking mediocre mentality is really irritating me. I've reached to that stage almost 1 month into the season. This weak mentality that we keep on dragging is delusional, and it needs to be kicked out away because it's toxic. This team cannot lose to Elfsborg, cannot not win against Monza, cannot win like it did against Venezia. This team needs to start convincing. And all I've seen in this first month, 2 months of action is the opposite of this. All I've seen is the opposite of convincing. So when we step back onto the pitch next weekend, there needs to be an attitude reaction. And this is the most important thing. Because I am saying this on the behalf, I hope, of a lot of us fans in this community. I am tired of watching this crap and this vomit, because tuning in and watching a Roma game in these past 3 months is literally torture. And I do it because it's our passion, but I don't enjoy it recently. I really don't enjoy it, and it would be a lie for me to say that I'm enjoying tuning in to watch Roma week in and week out. So there needs to be a step up in everything, in professionalism. And this also includes the board, who is the least of professionals in this mess. I'm not expecting a win against Inter at all, but I'm expecting a reaction against Inter. I'm expecting a mental reaction against the best team in Italy. This doesn't mean that we have to win 2-0. I mean, ideally we do win, but I'm not going to over-exaggerate and say, oh yeah, let's forget the past, let's win 3-0 against Inter. No, because that's not going to happen. And in fact, I struggle to believe that we are going to win against Inter. But what I need to see against Inter is a mental and attitude reactionary sensationalism to the shit that we've been playing in these past 2 months. You've got Inter at home, Dynamo Kiev in the Europa League, which is crucial. It has become a crucial game for our chances to advance onto the next round. And then we also have Fiorentina away. These next 3 games are going to mark our future. If we don't see a reaction in these next 3 games, the season is over. And most importantly, if there is no reaction in these next 3 games, the manager will probably get sent under the bus. And I am not excluding a De Rossi comeback. There's a lot to say and a lot to watch, a lot to witness, because there needs to be a change in absolutely everything. And I'm going to end it here. Do you think the team still needs time to bond and find chemistry, or do you think they are simply not compatible with each other? I think it's a bit of both. A lot of these players still need to get their rhythm and get used to the Serie A, but at the same time, I also do feel like some of the transfer decisions that we made no sense and do not promote cohesion and chemistry. Pelé is inconsistent, but he doesn't deserve the hate. We put way too much pressure on him alone. Do you think Paredes is mentally in Boca already? Yeah, Paredes. In fact, a lot of people are saying that Paredes will leave in January. Paredes will definitely leave in June. He could leave in January because Juric doesn't like him. Again, will Juric stick around by January? I don't know. So decisions can change. It's very early to speak about transfer news. And it's not the moment to speak about transfer news. But yes, Paredes has got a big question mark. How about Andrea Pirlo as manager if we sack the one we have? Mate, I hope that's a joke. If we need to get somebody back, look, Juric leaves. And I want to do a big live stream on Juric tomorrow. If Juric leaves, whether it's now, tomorrow, or in the summer, the next manager that needs to come in is an Antonio Conte type manager. Somebody who comes in, has a transfer window, and is as successful as Napoli is right now. So an experienced manager. If we need to stick around with club legends, mediocre small managers, then I bring back Daniele De Rossi. And that's the conclusion I have. I don't want Juric to extend his contract. I back him until he's here, but I don't want him to go over his contract because I don't think he's the perfect manager for this environment and for this team at all. We need somebody who's experienced in this environment. Rome is a hurricane. The Roma environment pushes you away. And this manager is not used to it and is not capable of maintaining his compatibility in this environment. I hate to say it, but an Allegri would be perfect in this team. I hate the way he plays, but Allegri would be perfect in a team like Roma. I hated Allegri a lot and I don't like him. But we need somebody like Mourinho, somebody who is able to compact this fan base, unite this fan base, but most importantly do this through the word of success. Success. I want success. So yes, we need somebody proven, experienced, who can withstand the pressure of the Roman media, the Roman fan base and everything, but somebody who knows how to succeed. Because I, as a Roma fan, only care about one thing, lifting trophies. Something that we haven't been done a lot in the past, but something that hopefully in the future we will do more of. So yeah, that's the way I see it. If you have to get another small manager, inexperienced manager, then I'm gonna get De Rossi back. Then why would I get Pirlo? You see what I mean? Mourinho is still the best United manager after Fergie. Mourinho fired from Roma, and Mourinho is still the best manager of Roma by results. Mate, there is nothing that I can contradict you with. And in these moments of time where this team is so delusionally sad, all I want is somebody like Mourinho, who at least tries to bring this team back to where it belongs. Mourinho made me live days, nights, games that I will probably not live again in the coming months, years. So I want somebody like Mourinho. And I'm going to say one more thing. I was the last one who wanted him sacked. I threw a bit of shit on him when he said those comments against Roma when he signed as a new Fenerbahce manager. But I will say one thing. Deep down in my heart, there is one thing I want. A Jose Mourinho return. And I'm going to unveil it to everybody because that man made me live nights and days that as a Roma fan and as a football fan is all I want in life. I'm going to end it there. Hit the like, subscribe, catch you tomorrow. Let's speak about Juric tomorrow. Big debate, contract extension, sacking and all of it. So be back tomorrow. Hit the like, subscribe and talk to you soon. Italy tonight, hopefully we win. Calafiori and Pellegrini to score. Get in. Forza Azzurri and Dai Roma. Simo out and shout out to Richard Mirix.